is sad because he didn't know how to communicate with people. He would allow people to talk for him.
Yes. Well, you know, part of that, it's fine when you have a full-time, you know, when you have a speech therapist and a full-time personal technical aid and, you know, and you're in school. But, you know, it gets really sad when you think how much effort everyone has put in and how little real empowerment has been given to Jay. So, this is, thank you. Thank you, Hayden. I find this thing from don't you find that passage from Acolug illustrates what goes on in typical settings all over the place? Tremendous amount of energy, goodwill, intelligence, and the results are not coming through. And I find things in Phoenix here and in Arizona in general to be, well, somewhat different.
I'll be really fast, but I think that if we tell people that it's like what we're doing is ripping out the larynx while you're programming the pages, which is what usually happens. We take the child's device and then program these temporary pages that are just sort of sitting in space. I just think that really helps people to kind of get it when we talk about the negative impact of what's happening while you're programming.
Well, you know, actually, I have found that doesn't do it because the kids don't really use the device, so no one around them perceives that it's their larynx. But people were telling me constantly a few years ago that everything was weight. Everything is weight. And I said, no, it's not. They said, we did a survey at the Rehabilitation Institute, and everything was weight. And I said, no, it isn't. It's the fact that nobody uses these to communicate at the Rehabilitation Institute. If they use them to communicate, parents would be willing to haul around a Mack truck.
Yeah, I think your point of who's going to do it after the child graduates is probably better taken. Who's going to continue to create pages for this person for the rest of their life? And when you first introduce it to a mom and say, you realize that if we choose a system where you have to be adding vocabulary for each activity that you want them to be successful in, that you're taking on the responsibility of adding vocabulary for the rest of this person's life, however long that may be, it makes a difference.
Okay, well, I would think that would be a very persuasive argument because I believe one of the parents, I don't know whether we have any parents of people with disabilities here, one of the parents' greatest anxieties is how is my child going to fare after I'm after I'm no longer able to do this or gone or any number of other things. I know my own mother didn't think I was negotiable in the world. No, no, that's not the case really. But you know, this is really a very serious thing. And okay, well, we've spent some time on that, and I would like to go on to the next here to show something that Wayne Wilson did. Wayne is director of the Health Authority in East Essex in England. It's in Colchester and that area. It's on the coast, and this is what he commented on, that in AAC, you know, a lot of the data we derive in articles seems to come from examinations of learning from the first 2 months and to measure the amount of learning needed. And a multi-page, multi-folder system seems to look great in that period. Do you see what's happening here? But that the time keeps getting more and more and more until, you know, okay. And whereas with a single overlay system, you know, automatic, you know, you're starting to ratchet up right at the beginning, but it levels out. And in fact, okay. Now, an unfortunate pattern exists in clinical experience that is partially explained by the Wilson AAC learning curve. The pattern is a cycle which begins in optimism and ends in the abandonment of original goals. A voice output communication aid is implemented with an early communicator considered to have great potential for independent communication. 12 to 18 months later, the communication status of the early communicator has been only marginally enhanced. He or she uses the device for pre-stored classroom responses. The intervention has been deemed successful, but independent communication is no longer a goal. The problem is thought to lie in the depth of the early communicator's disability. Now,